What's happening, Andy? Here I am joined today by Laura Blackmer of Konica Minolta. How you doing today, Laura?
I am great, Andy. It's so good to see you.
It is so good to see you. I have my special limited edition Forza What's Happening hat on, just for you,
Those
just
are
for
worth
you.
a lot of money, from what I hear. They're worth a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, they're tough to get. They're tough to get. You really have to know somebody. But I saw you actually gave you one of these hats a couple weeks ago at the BTA event in where were we? Asheville. We were in Asheville.
Beautiful Asheville. First time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first time too. It was an incredible event, a beautiful facility. You were on a very, very good panel led by Bob Goldberg with a couple of executives from some of the other OEMs. And we talked about getting together and doing a follow up to that. So here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, I like this better. I feel like, first of all, I don't have Jim Caridi and his giant Wizard of Oz head over my head.
Looking down on everybody, right? That was so. Yeah, for those of you who weren't there, they piped in Mr. Caridi from Rico on the big screen. He wasn't able to actually make that conference, so it was quite imposing as he was up there on the whole wall. So that was, but it was a great panel. It was him and then and you and of course Mike Marusik from Sharp, and just a great panel on supply chain and where we were, and then several other just questions that kind of fit into that. And I thought maybe we could expand on that a little, just a little background. Why don't you tell us what you do for Konica Minolta?
Yeah, Konica Minolta. So I am responsible for the entire dealer sales channel in the U.S., which is it seems like not a lot to do, but it's been a very busy job ever since I've had it. So I've been here. Do you believe it's almost 4 years?
I can't believe it's been 4 years. And you are up in New Jersey today. Are you home? Are you at the office? Where is
My
it?
home office in northern New Jersey. I go in 2 to 3 days a week. I find it, well, especially I think I told you in the pre-show here that no water heater this weekend, so I had to be here for my water heater, which came, thank God. But yeah, no, I'm in northern New Jersey where it's absolutely beautiful. The leaves have pretty much gone by, and we've got sunshine, and it's not a bad place to be.
Well, it is crappy as hell here in Rochester. It is snowy. There was actually snow on the ground this morning a little bit, and I think my local golf days are over up here. It's gross, and I'm looking. Any of you Southern dealers looking for a visit, I am willing to travel, and I will come see you. But I wanted to have you on, and I wanted to ask you some questions. I thought maybe we'd, ask you a whole bunch of really fluffy softball questions so we can make Konica look good. I thought we'd talk about supply chain and toner. How about that?
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, just real easy questions. I know the press has got this reputation for never asking a hard question, so I thought maybe we'd ask you some good questions. I think some of our viewers would want to hear some of these. So we'll jump right into it. You had a toner explosion in your factory a while ago, beginning of the year, and then you had another explosion in your toner factory. Very exciting times in your toner factory, but that led us to a point where you started experiencing shortages, and you addressed that, and you kind of touched on it at the dealer meeting. But why don't you fill us in? What did you guys? First of all, what turned out? What did you find out that was happening there, and how did you fix it? And then what have you done to rectify that situation to get these customers of yours back online?
Absolutely. So actually, the first fire was in June, and it was in our production toner factory, and it was caused in a process. So there's several processes. I'm totally oversimplifying, but there's two drying processes. There's a kind of an initial drying process, and then I call it the super duper steroid drying process, which includes a heat piece. And from what I understand, I was not there, but from what I understand, there's fumes that get created. Toner's an interesting product, right? So fumes were created, static electricity hit those fumes, and there was an explosion. So that was in June. And what's interesting is most people didn't know about it, even though it was reported, because we were all sitting on a pretty good amount of toner, right? The factory had toner. There was toner en route. There was toner in our warehouses here in the U.S. There was toner in dealers. So kind of fine, right? Then you fast forward to August, and the toner factories were just back up and running. The production toner was only one at the time, was just back up and running, so starting to deliver. And we were all great. We're getting a little bit low, but we've got toner coming in, and boom, and to literally, there was another toner fire. Same exact reason. So the government, which I totally get, comes in and says, "Oh, by the way, You got to take both of your toner factories down, the one for office and the one for production, and you got to figure out what happened and how you're going to prevent it. So, and again, like you said, completely appropriate. So, fast forward, we didn't have as much toner, particularly production, in the pipe, right? We had already kind of burned off some of the, I'll even call it safety stock and inventory, and the dealers had been burning off inventory. So now you run into a, uh-oh, we don't have as much. So we went on a managed allocation process immediately. And that was primarily, and as Sam said actually in a meeting last week, someday when we write the case study on this, we'll know if we made the right decisions. But really, our primary focus was on not running out of toner. So there was an algorithm that said, okay, what's the burn rate of this particular model, and how much do we have left, and when do we expect to have replenishment? So we went on managed allocation, which can be very frustrating because it's not normal, right? So we've been on managed allocation. The first factory who came up with a new process, which I'll talk in a minute, came online October 18th, and the second one came up November 8th. And me, being somewhat naive to the toner process, thought, okay, great. So we're going to have toner like in 2 weeks.
How
And
long could it take?
how long could it be? Just fly the stuff over. And we got word when I started bugging people saying, why am I not seeing new toner come in? And they said, well, Laura, you know what? There's a new drying process. You can no longer use, I call it the blow dryer effect, right? With the heat, you've actually got to let this thing dry the normal way. And it takes about 2 to 3 weeks. So news to me. So the first shipments from that first factory that came up on October 18th are due in this week. We're air freighting everything, obviously. We're making, I think, I keep getting the numbers wrong, but it's something like 200 tons of toner either a day or a week. I can get that for sure for you, but it's a lot of toner. It will be bottled. It will be put on a plane. It will ship. It will arrive. And as it arrives, we will start taking some of these products off of managed allocation. So this is if you're a customer without toner, you would kill me for saying this, but it's a short-term issue. Our goal is to make sure no customers run out. So I'm working with all the dealers on who's close, who's close. Some of our dealers have developed very sophisticated modeling that helps me because they say to me, you need to give me this much a week, and I can do that. So, we are working really closely. It's probably the closest I've ever worked with a dealer audience in terms of really understanding who their customers are and what they need. And, we're making sure they get that product. And fingers crossed that the net news starts coming in every day. And then once that happens, we're back to normal, which is, having available toner all the time for the dealers. So,
Well, I know you're dancing around it. I've spoken to a lot of your dealers. I have not heard of anyone actually running out yet, but I've heard some people that are very concerned and they're close, yeah. Right? So good job avoiding that. We've actually had some articles about another company who did run out of toner with some of their clients. But that's kind of where we're at in this environment now, whether you had a fire, whether you just, your supplies and parts are on a ship or whatnot. But, nice job, I guess, in hanging in there and getting to the point where it sounds like hopefully you'll get some relief in that area. And since you're air freighting it in, you're not going to, you're not going to get stuck in those ships that are sitting offshore right now. But let's segue into that, right? Part two of that sucky question I asked you, right? What's going on with your supply chain? I hear dealers, your dealers, other dealers, just our whole community out there is struggling to get equipment. What are your people doing? What are you doing for the dealers? What kind of need do they have right now? And how are they hanging in there? How are your branches doing?
Yeah. Well, so at the risk of repeating myself, I think what I said at the BTA event was, the whole supply chain is broken. All the way back to raw materials, which is the chipsets, right? And then all the way through, sometimes just getting a truck to pick your product up at a warehouse and bring it to a customer. That last mile is broken. So the whole process is broken. And I think, besides just what I would call band-aiding, right, which is, doing some allocation, doing some prioritization, doing our best to get product visibility so we know what is coming and directing the dealers to what is coming. Besides those items, which are, in my mind, those are short-term, they're reactive, we've actually gone back now and we're getting really proactive down to the point where we're looking at design of products. I can talk a little bit about that. We're looking at what is the best way to ship this product across the ocean from Malaysia, China, Vietnam over to the United States. And should we just have a whole ship dedicated to us, or should we use a charter system, or should we fly everything. I mean, all of these have been on the table, and some of them, we've kind of picked and choosed. That's a pick and chosen, right? Better grammar. And I think I mentioned to you earlier, we're actually test driving, bringing product into Mexico, a port of Mexico, and bringing it up through. We've looked at going through the Panama Canal. We've looked at going to East Coast, and I think we feel that this one has probably the most potential right now. But here's the other thing I think we're all getting really good at. You can't expect what's working today, Monday, to be working on Friday, right? So you have to be fluid and very able. We have a fantastic logistics team. In fact, he was on our call Friday, Dan Campney. He's amazing at really knowing what's happening worldwide with shipping lanes and containers and things like that. So having someone that does that. But I think, we've actually made some very quick decisions about pulling what I call, I use the term tailbone, pulling the tailbone out of a product, which required a board that wasn't as valuable as the board was valuable. So stop using it, right? Get rid of it. We can redesign around it, looking at our design products going into next year and saying, we don't need that. We don't need this. We should uncouple. So really, I think what we're trying to do is, besides the Band-Aid right now, which is get as much product in the hands of our dealers as we can, we're also saying, what are we doing for the future? Because, I think I know how you feel about this. This isn't over January. This isn't over in March. This is a 2022, 2023 challenge. And here's, I think, the big issue. When it is over, if it ever is officially over, it will never be the way it was. It will never be where there's 2 to 3 months of inventory at the manufacturer, maybe 2 to 3 months of inventory at the dealer, pick and choose whatever you want. I think those days are over, and I think we're going to have to get really good at, if you call it a just-in-time program, but really giving us information so we're building the right products, getting it to you at the right time so that you can deliver it to your customer. And there's not inventory sitting in 5 different places. Frankly, that's a really expensive model. So I think it's kind of forcing us to really think about how we design our products, how we move our products, how we build our products, how we move our products, and what we do with them here once they get to this part of the world. And I think the better companies will be really, really good at that, whether that company is a dealer or a manufacturer or even an end user. Those that get good at that will win the day.
So you guys have a great plan and process to get you to the next 12 months. And 12 months from now, you'll have alternative shipping locations available. Mexico, you mentioned, is one that you're exploring. You're looking at, bringing product in differently. You're air freighting a lot of stuff. You've got, some redesign that you're doing so that you'll need less resources to go in some of these models that you're building. The real question I have is, what are your dealers doing for the next 12 months? How do they get product? How do they hang in there? When I'm paying a sales rep commission based off of a piece of equipment, and that piece of equipment that he doesn't get to bill that until that thing is plugged in, and it's sitting on a boat somewhere. What do I tell this person? What are you guys doing as Konica Minolta to help the dealers get through the next 12 months and just hang in there? You've done a great job the first 12 months. And I think we all kind of have a feeling of where we're at right now and how tough it's going to be. But now what happens for the next 12 months?
So I think we've been doing a lot of things. We started it a while ago, but really helping the dealers. And a lot of it, you mentioned how our direct is doing. I sort of teased Terry Dixon that, direct is kind of my petri dish, right? Let me see if that works over there. If it does,
Yeah.
dealers. And I think Direct has actually done a really nice job of really evaluating the customer base and saying, okay, that guy's on a lease, product's 3 years old. He frankly has not been using it, right? He hasn't been in his office, or schools were out all last year. There's a lot of life left in that product. Let me rewrite that lease. So we've been advising, I think I even mentioned it during the BTA, look at that again, right? Look at your customer base and say, you know what? I can keep these guys in their current equipment and not have to dedicate equipment to flipping out existing equipment, right? So let me say, so how do you pay people on that? You got to figure that out, right? Do you pay them on the net new lease? Do you find other ways for them to get some kind of recognition and comp for doing that? It's not that hard, right? Then the second thing is, okay, so now I've got net new business. That's the lifeblood of my business, is getting net new MIF. So that's where I should be dedicating anything I can get in. And I should be really careful about what I put in there, right? So right now, the push is for color, right? it's hard to believe we're still saying that how many years after the move from mono to color, but it's amazing how many customers are still looking at mono product because they're afraid of color. So maybe you start looking at a flat rate program, or you look at some way to get someone into a color device that doesn't scare them, right? So that could be an option. And we've basically said, I said to dealers all the time, I'm not forcing or telling you flat rate's the way to go. What I'm saying is you have to look at all your options. And if you're interested in this, you should call us because we have a lot of data. We'll basically open book it and say, here's how we did it, right? So again, that Petri dish idea. So we've looked at that. And then what we've said is, look, your biggest challenge is to stay engaged with your customers, whether you're a sales rep or management, while that customer is holding on to an existing piece of equipment or worse, waiting for new equipment. So what do? You should be talking to them about phone systems. You should be talking about managed IT. You should be talking about security. Find other ways to keep your business with them sticky. If you just say, hey, I don't have anything, I'll be back in a couple months, someone else is coming in. For sure. There's always someone who happens to have that particular product. So that's really what we've been doing. And we also try to, I think something that we've done really well here, Andy, and that I'm really proud of is we do not treat our dealers as a bunch of dealers. We treat them as individuals. So that dealer in Boise, Idaho has a different set of issues than this dealer in Bangor, Maine, right? So what are we doing to help that dealer be successful and help that dealer successful? And I always tell my team, you got a large bag and it's full of a lot of tricks. Bring the right ones to the right dealers. And that, I think that's really the approach we're trying to take. Because there will never be enough product. There will never be enough product. So how can we help them navigate that, still make good decisions, and keep their salespeople, which is one of the biggest challenges right now is keeping salespeople. Salespeople they've got short attention spans. And I'm one of them, so I feel like I can say
Yeah, we all are, you and me both, right? I mean, that's how we wound up in these jobs. And
exactly. So
that's the challenge. That's everybody's biggest challenge is, I mean, even before the pandemic, the biggest issue when we used to do a lot of research was always every year was finding and keeping people, because the second you get them trained, they're often, the grass is always greener. They get an opportunity across town. Now they're trained and off they go. And now you start from scratch again. And, it's just, and now you've got to throw in a little pandemic where, there's no available people to pick up, and you're going up against, burger joints that are paying $15-20 an hour. It's challenging for these guys to find, let alone keep people. So that's not getting any easier, right? I mean, it's just it's tough being an office equipment reseller, that's for sure.
it absolutely is. And I, as the team saw on Friday, I have a lot of empathy for that. And I've never been one, so I can't say I know exactly what it's like, but I've talked to enough dealers over the last 9 years to really understand that there's a few lifebloods in this business. Toner's one, and net new business is the other. And we've made it hard to do both. But as I said to them on the phone, you have my commitment that we're fixing it. We are absolutely fixing it. And if we can't fix it, we will help find ways through it. Whether it's knocking down walls or looking at, all new ways to distribute product. I mean,
if there are arguably very few companies who could go toe to toe with you from looking at a diversification standpoint, what you put into a portfolio for these customers. So, I mean, with all covered and your IT and label printing with so your Konica Minolta products and your Muratech products, and just on and on and on. You're just in a lot of different places, and you offer, ECM and just so many different things that a dealer can choose between. So, you do make it a little bit easier, I think, than possibly some of the others that just say it's only print. And then you run into a situation like this where there's a hiccup in print, and, you need to be able to pivot a little, and you allow that. So, to your credit, and it's kind of interesting looking to see it actually matter. And you've been telling these guys for years, you need to do this, and now it's a big pie in the face showing you, maybe we didn't expect it to happen all at once, but this is why, right? I mean, this is why.
This isn't exactly how we want. This wasn't.
No, nobody did. But this is why, right?
Yeah.
This is why you need to be diversified. This is why you can't have all your eggs in one basket. And if your print slows down and you can make it up in IT, or you can make it up in water coolers or whatever else it is that you're selling, managed services or whatever it is, if there's another area you can grow into to kind of offset that, then you're in better shape than somebody who's really just struggling in one part of their business and has nowhere else to make up those losses. So I always thought the program was very solid, and those offerings were what made you guys I know somewhat unique compared to most of the others. So good magic crystal ball on that one, I guess.
Yeah, right,
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. No, we're, again, I love the team because they've been able to really put this in place and, like I said, take it on a custom level. But even more important, we don't expect any dealer to just take it and run with it. We've got so much behind that we can bring to bear, whether it's, pre-sales consultants, post-sales consultants, technical people. I mean, we're not just saying, hey, go figure this out. So I hope, I think sometimes it's hard to break through the initial, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And we're just trying to be there and, be there when they say, what am I going to do? Here's some ideas, right?
Yeah.
Let's try that. And, just trying to help these guys get through this period. It's important to us. It really is.
Well, it's important to all of us. And, you guys have clearly been a good partner to them. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come on the show today and talk to us about maybe some topics that were not the most comfortable topics to discuss, but you're very candid, and we greatly appreciate that, as always, Laura. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it was so good to see you. And
you too. Any last shout outs to anybody?
Oh, my team, always. My team who's been, boy, oh boy, they've been working hard, but I think also the dealers. Honestly, they have stuck by us through this, and that's been tough. I think our admin and logistics team, talk about unsung heroes. We've got a group of people that spend every day counting and figuring out where everything is, and they've done an amazing, amazing job. Some of them you probably know: Alan Schwedok, Rashid, Garav. I mean, it's a great group. I know them better than my own family right now, which is, but they're an amazing group of people with so freaking smart. So it's been that's been kind of the good thing, is you're working with different groups, and we're very lucky. We have a lot of really good people doing a lot of really good things.
Well, that's awesome. Great to see you again, and we will check in with you soon. Take care, right. And if I don't see you, have a great holiday season.
Thank you. You too. Take care, Andy. Good to see you.
Bye, Laura.